Welcome back to Judo Highlights. This will be a good one. A lot of massive Ippons in this one from Japanese heavyweights. Now, I was planning to make a video about who is the best, like the top 10 Japanese heavyweights of all time, but it's a little bit subjective. You have a lot of guys at under 100s competing at the All Japans, and then there are people who have won the All Japan Judo Championships but have never won an Olympic medal. And yeah, so that idea went out the window. Here we are with just an epic collection of amazing Ippons from these guys. Now this is Inoue Kosei, and he's one of those guys, competed at under 100s but really successful at plus 100s as well. And Suzuki Keiji, of course. I think a lot of people have probably seen this three-piece combo before. Just a iconic judo combination. Sasai to Kochi and then Ashibarai. But there's quite a few of these Ippons in this video that, I mean, I've seen these for 10 plus years and they still amaze me to this day. Here's one of my favorites from Inoue Kosei. It's not an Uchimata. Ends up being an Osotogari. You can see the incredible weight difference that he just had to deal with competing at the All Japan Championships. And so what he's doing with his right hand here is, I mean, really high level stuff. Just stopping his opponent from taking a grip, using his elbow to block, and then he found the opportunity and to work with the surite, you know, going across the shoulder, going across the face. Really high level stuff. And of course the combination. Look at that, and the drive. Perfect finish as well. Now I would put Anai Takamasa in that bucket as well. Those kind of guys, Suzuki, Inoue Kosei, really successful at plus 100s, or at least the open weight category in Japan, but a much lighter guy. And have a look at this. It's probably one of my favorite Ippons of his. And another guy I would put in that category, Satoshi Ishii. Although Ishii did only compete at plus 100s, but to be honest, he wasn't that much bigger than Suzuki Keiji. He was a really muscular guy, probably couldn't have made the weight, but stature-wise he was much shorter than a lot of those big, massive heavyweights. But moving on, we really should look at some actual heavyweights, some really big guys. Nakano, of course, he has some just insanely clean judo at plus 100s. Have a look at this Harai Surikomiyashi. And this is at plus 100s, we have to remember. Absolutely incredible. Now he does remind me a little bit of Kamikawa. Kamikawa, he also had a really good Surikomiyashi, although Nakano's a little bit more explosive. But in Kamikawa's case, I think, really looking for the transition in the newaza. Now Kamikawa, he had some pretty big techniques on the IJF Tour. He has a few. Really good with the Uchimata and the Harai Goshi. But some of his domestic tournaments were legendary. So if you didn't know, Kamikawa, he was apparently extremely lazy, but there was a time around 2014 where he was just unstoppable, at least according to Aaron Wolf. Here he is countering Ojitani, and Ojitani, I think 140 odd kgs, and of course Ojitani winning the All Japan Championship numerous times. And here he is getting thrown for Ippon with an Osotogari. And here's that Harai Surikomiyashi again into the newaza. Just absolute domination. Another one of the legends to do it, Saito Hitoshi. I think his son still has quite a lot to prove, but Saito back in the day, I mean, this was incredible stuff. I've never seen such lift, especially at heavyweight, to pick people up like this with Uchimata. And then he was really good on the ground as well, looking for Ashigatame. And he secured several Ippons with this, but in this case, ends up using it as a transition. So just, you can really see the difference between him and his son. Just a lot cleaner, a lot sharper, a lot more strength. You can see his body is just a tank, absolute tank. And that Uchimata is unbelievable. Now of course, going down a little bit in weight but still at plus 100s, we had Kageura. He showed us some beautiful techniques, really just sweeping people's feet from underneath them, and which is always great to see. You don't see a lot of foot sweeps at plus 100s, so it's really nice to see. Lightning Seoinages as well. And of course he took out Teddy Raniere with this Ujimata Sukashi, not an Ippon, but still this was a beautiful technique. especially for such a short guy to do that against Teddy's long legs. Now someone else who had a wonderful Uchimata Sukashi, Shinohara. And how about this? No one did it better than him. Probably the greatest Uchimata Sukashi in history. But he had some big techniques. All Sotogari, of course, and then the massive Uchimata at the beginning of the video. That was from him. And then Shichi no Hair. And, I mean, he had beautiful techniques. Wonderful All Sotogari. Didn't quite get the results. Have a look at this All Sotogari at plus 100s. Here's one from Ojitani. Another beautiful All Sotogari. Now, I mentioned Inoue Kosei earlier, but we're going to have an Uchimata in here as well. And this is probably my favorite Uchimata from Inoue Kosei. At least at plus 100s in the open weight category. And this was at the end of his career. He had come back from some major injuries. And then he returned to Fukuoka. And this was in the final. Incredible Ippon to win the final. And then, of course, we saw him do magical things at the Olympics. And, of course, on the IJF Tour as well. I'm not sure if it was called the IJF Tour back then, but he was probably the most popular judoka back then. Everyone tuned in to watch Inoue Kosei because he would do things like this. Kosoto to Haraigoshi. And then he had a crazy fast Morote Seoinage, which you just wouldn't expect from the man. I mean, he did it all. Uchimata, Haraigoshi, Ouchigari, Osotogari, Seoinage. There wasn't anything he couldn't do. Now, there are a couple of guys that I'm forgetting. Two in particular that I probably should mention before the end of this video. One is Muneta. He probably had, I mean, this Ippon here is probably one of the biggest of all time for plus 100s. This Sosai Surikomiyashi, no one's ever done it quite like this since then. And then Muneta, of course, very short for his size, but here he is doing an Uchimata. So a lot of people say, hey, I can't do Uchimata because I've got short legs. Well, look at Muneta, he found a way. But it really was the tewaza that he was so good at. And then the last person that I'm forgetting about, of course, Yasuhiro Yamashita. Just a generational talent. Had a ridiculous win streak. Highest number of titles at the All Japan Championships as well. And of course, the Olympic gold. So we'll wrap it up there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. These Ippons from Japanese heavyweights. Let me know if I missed anyone or a particular Ippon that you thought was incredible. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you later. Peace.
What an Uchimata! He was setting it up.